Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of It's So Fluffy Nails, and today we have, unfortunately or fortunately, what I call the doldrums is the time between the, the point that Chanel has recently released a new set of nail polishes and the time to the next collection being released. So right now we've already gotten the holiday collections out of the way. So I'm just kind of thinking, okay, well, what can we do now? So I'm gonna go back in time, I guess, until the next Chanel releases are out in the stores, and we're going to be revisiting the fall 2015. And I actually went straight to the Chanel Blue the Rhythm without going through the fall Les Automnales that also deserve its time in the spotlight. And pardon my French since I never took French in high school, so that's my best pronunciation, but here's what Google Translate says it's supposed to be.
Les Automnales.
So go ahead, commit that to memory. Maybe we'll actually learn some French after all. So this collection is made up of three colors. Supposedly, fall colors are inspired by fall foliage, and I can see kind of where they're going. We have a red, a coarse sanguine, a purplish brown eggplanty color, châtain, and lastly, a Vert Obscur. I guess that could be some of your evergreen colors. And if you can take a wild guess which one I'm prepared to talk more about today, what do you know? I'm going to be talking more about Vert Obscur. So, the reason why I wanted to go to Vert Obscur first before the other two is because since owning this particular polish in the last few weeks, I've gotten so many compliments on it. And honestly, it was a surprise because when I see this color, I see something that's very understated and something that can pretty much go with almost anything you might wear in the fall in pretty much any setting. I think this is appropriate for going to work. I think this is appropriate for just going out if you're out on the town or having like holiday gatherings. I think that this is a very versatile color. And I have Vert Obscur on this finger and, of course, on these two fingers, if you can tell that they are the same. When I first saw this color online before it was released in stores, I really did think that this was going to be more of a forest green, and can kind of see that I've chosen colors to compare that reflect that decision. But once it finally arrived, it's not. I noticed it's not a cream based color. It definitely has no micro shimmer, no glitter, anything. So it's a very flat color, other than the fact that you take into whatever light the shine gives off, but it has no actual dimension. And if I were to say there were dimension, I would say that it has depth because of the black color that must be an undertone in this particular formula. So I'm going to go ahead and apply one coat of this, and maybe you'll be able to see better what I mean by this is kind of not a cream, but more of a translucent gel-like color or jelly-like color. Um, So this is one coat compared to the two coats on the middle finger and the index finger on my right hand. You can kind of see why I always see why I thought this was a forest green, because in one coat it really does come off like a forest green, and if Chanel ever does come out with a color that stays true at this particular tone after two coats, I think it would also be a beautiful color. But in this case with one coat, I feel like there's a little bit too much of like the white of the finger bed kind of coming through, and so it doesn't look like a finished application at all to me. And so if you can believe that in one more coat it goes from this color to this dark, that's exactly what happens. So one thing that I have noticed because of this contrast is that it's very important when you apply this formula to try and get all the way to the edges, because if you don't cover the edges all the way, you're going to get this very noticeable I don't want to call it a halo effect, but it is like a definite difference that you would notice, and I'm not sure if anybody else would notice, but if you're a perfectionist, it's something that would get to you. so, so even in two coats, it's still, I feel like it doesn't quite cover everything. But if you have a steadier hand, I think that two coats is probably sufficient. If you want to be certain, you can take it to three, but I think three might make it a little bit too dark. So just to add to the effect, I guess, because this is something that just comes off as a shiny, dark color, I think that this formula lends itself really nicely to another application of a gel top coat. Because it has a jelly-like consistency already, that gel top coat really kind of highlights that a little bit more. So I love that added effect of a gel top coat rather than a flat shine to this particular color. Moving on to possible dupes, I actually, going through my collection, had I think nothing on hand that I could compare to this particular color. Now, mine is limited, my collection of Chanel is limited to the years that I have been working and can afford to buy Chanel nail polish. So if anybody out there has any other colors that they think are applicable, please feel free to share them in the comments. I think there's another recent green release, and I think the color was Chanel's Mysterious, but looking at pictures of that one, it was a little bit more khaki-ish green, so I don't think it really comes into the same category of Vert Obscur, and I don't think it's quite as versatile. So yes, if you can notice, my greens are all, for the most part, outside of the Chanel family. So the first color that I thought about when I was looking at Vert Obscur as something that might be similar was this YSL color. This was called Wintergreen. I don't actually think it was given a number because I don't see one anywhere on this bottle. And if you can see, it's got a lot of micro shimmer to it. It's got some blue, green, maybe silvery gold quality particles inside, so that if you look at them side by side, this is the YSL Wintergreen, and this is the Chanel Vert Obscur. The wintergreen really does come off as a dark color. It's kind of foresty green, and it can be considered a dark green in my opinion, but it still has a little bit of that teal quality to it. So it doesn't give you that depth that Vert Obscur definitely gives you because of the inky background. So definitely a lovely color though. The next color that I thought might be applicable was this julep color named Valerie. This julep color has, again, probably like a tealish forest green, but instead it has a lot more gold microparticles, I think, and some blue micro shimmer inside. So when you compare it to Vert Obscur side by side, I have it here on this finger. It really can't be compared again, in my opinion, because it has a lot more of that green quality to it. But if you are just looking for some fun colors, I think that this julep color is a great one to try. It has a lot of shimmer to it, which is fun for the holidays. Moving on, two more colors. These are Mineral Fusion. You can get these in many drugstores, and in my particular case, I get them on Whole Foods, sometimes on lunch runs when I'm just feeling like playing with a brand new color for a day. And so I guess this one is called Mossy Bank, and this one's called Blue Nile. And these were the two colors from Mineral Fusion that I thought were the closest to green that I have. And I think Mossy Bank really is a real green. It's not quite emerald, but it has a lot less blue than some of the other colors that I've selected today. And Mineral Fusion is much more teal. So in the spectrum of the Mossy Bank and the Blue Nile, Vert Obscur still is just in a class all its own. I'm probably looking at this and seeing it looks like it's just jet black, but if you look at this in the sunlight, if you have a chance to wear it out into the sun, it'll look jet black indoors or just when you're walking around, but you'll get that glint of green when you're not really looking for it. And I think maybe that is why I've gotten so many compliments on it and friends that want to borrow it for for fun for the fall, because it's just a nice color that you can keep on your fingers for a couple days and you really don't mind. So thank you again for all your comments. They've been helpful. It's led us to try out this new video configuration yet again. So I'm thinking that hopefully this is even easier to see the differences between the colors. So please feel free to leave comments, and if you have any suggestions of dupes for your fellow nail fans, please leave them in there. Thumbs up, subscribe, anything you want to do, please share with your friends so we can get as much input as we can into our nail polish community. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.